When you have a horrible and painful childhood, the last thing you want is for your children to go through the same problems you did. That was Eminem's biggest fear. And in the song Mockingbird, he reveals this fear and several others that threatened his two daughters, whom he would protect at any cost. I'm Guilherme, and you're on the Decipher Hits channel.
Little baby, don't you cry, everything's gonna be alright.
Mockingbird was the fifth single from the album Encore, released in 2004. The lyrics are a deep outpouring from the rapper about some of the most painful moments of his life, which ended up affecting his most sensitive point. The song is a direct message to his daughters, Haley and Elena, and reveals how much Eminem tried to prevent them from having a life as difficult and troubled as his own. In fact, growing up in a toxic environment, in extreme poverty, with a mother who was addicted and neurotic, and a father who abandoned him when he was just a baby, Eminem did not have a wonderful childhood at all. Actually, his life was chaotic from birth. When his mother Debbie, who was only 17 years old, almost died during labor, which lasted an unbelievable 73 hours. After going through so many problems, it's impressive to know that Eminem is not only still alive today, but also became one of the greatest and most successful rappers of all time. However, anyone who thinks his daughters were born with a silver spoon, having everything they could want, is mistaken. Their childhood was not easy either. Eminem had his first daughter, Haley Jade, in '95, and at that time, he was still far from being famous, and worked 60 hours a week at a restaurant, earning minimum wage. Even though he had already made some songs, he still hadn't made any money from it, and he lived with his daughter and his wife Kim in an extremely dangerous neighborhood in Detroit.
Every house that we lived in either kept getting broken into and robbed.
And at that time, every house we lived in was either broken into and robbed, or got hit by stray bullets.
Your mom was saving money for you in a jar,
And your mother was saving money for you in a little jar, trying to start a little college fund for you.
Almost had $1,000 till someone broke in and stuff.
She had almost $1,000 already until someone broke into the house and stole everything. Things got even worse after Eminem was fired from the restaurant, and they had to move into his mother's trailer. The firing happened a few weeks before Christmas in '96, which created such a traumatizing memory for Eminem that he put it in the second verse of Mockingbird.
I remember back one year when daddy had no money, mommy wrapped the Christmas presents up.
There was a year when daddy didn't have any money. Then mommy wrapped the Christmas presents, put them under the tree, and said that some of them were from me, since daddy couldn't buy anything. I'll never forget that Christmas. I sat there crying all night. And even though that moment was very painful, the rapper had no idea that something much worse was about to happen. A month before losing his job, Eminem had decided to try his luck in the rap world, since he already had good experience with freestyle rhymes back in school. With the help of some contacts, he released his first album, Infinite, which to his disappointment was a tremendous failure and did nothing to help his situation. And as if all that wasn't enough, Kim decided to separate from Eminem, moving to another city with Haley.
Mom and dad are fighting a lot, so mom moved away.
Mom and dad were fighting too much, so mom moved to the apartment on Chalmers Avenue.
Apartment and dad moved back to the other side of 8 Mile on Novara.
And dad went back to the other side of 8 Mile to Novara Street. Detroit is a city in the state of Michigan, and one of the poorest and most dangerous in the United States. The city's border is marked by the famous 8 Mile Road, which was even the title of Eminem's semi-biographical movie. After the divorce, he went to live in the outskirts of Detroit, while Kim moved with Haley to the other, not-so-poor side of the highway. On top of that, she started preventing him from seeing his daughter, which began to generate an uncontrollable anger in Eminem that would only grow from then on. The following year, he realized that he would need a different strategy if he wanted to make an impact and be noticed in the music industry. So, the rapper unleashed all his indignation and anger through his alter ego, Slim Shady. Slim Shady, with extremely shocking and controversial lyrics, many of them with heavy attacks on his ex-wife and his own mother. The strategy worked, and with the Slim Shady EP in '97, he ended up catching the attention of one of the greatest rap producers in history, Dr. Dre, who soon signed him to his label Aftermath Entertainment, where he was able to explore Eminem's incredible talent and quickly turned him into the worldwide success he is today.
And that's when
Dad moved to California with his CD, and there he met Dr. Dre and brought you and Mom to come see me. Now here's a fun fact. You may have noticed that besides Haley, who was 9 years old at the time, Eminem also mentions the name of another girl in this song.
Laney, Uncle's crazy, right? Yeah, but he loves you and you better know it.
Laney, Uncle is crazy, right? Yes, but he loves you. Know that. Laney is the nickname of Elena Scott, who was 11 years old at the time. She was the daughter of Kim's sister, Dawn Scott, with an unknown father. That means Eminem is Elena's uncle, as he says in this verse. But Laney's mother was an addict, being unable to take care of the child. Therefore, Eminem was able to adopt the girl in 2012, and so she also became his daughter. But if Elena is his adopted daughter, why doesn't she appear as much in his lyrics as the rapper's biological daughter? The truth is that Eminem has mentioned Haley's name in so many of his songs that it ended up having a very negative effect on her, which he never wanted. Haley ended up being exposed to the world of media and fame too early, even becoming the target of attacks, which was neither pleasant nor something anyone wanted.
That's it, I calmed down. Your mom is a pro, but Kim isn't. So what will she be when she grows up?
All of this made the rapper avoid repeating the same mistake with Lena and regret exposing Haley so early. So much so that Eminem even apologized to his daughter in some songs, like In Castle from 2017.
I said your name, but always tried to hide your face. This game is crazy, I wanted to claim.
But exposure was the least of the problems threatening his daughter. Haley also grew up amid the toxic and troubled relationship between Eminem and Kim, and ended up seeing things that no child should ever see.
But Daddy had to work, you and Mama had to leave.
But Daddy had to work, you and Mommy had to leave me. Then you started seeing Daddy on television, and Mommy didn't like that.
Papa was a rolling stone, Mama developed a habit, and it all happened.
You and Laney were too young to understand. Daddy was always traveling, and Mommy developed a habit.
And it all happened too fast for either one of us to grab it.
Everything happened so fast, and we didn't even notice. I'm sorry you had to see that kind of thing up close. Rolling stone means rolling stone, but it's also slang for nomadic people who don't have a fixed home. At that time, Eminem was always on tour, and Kim was struggling with drug addiction and ended up being arrested for fleeing from a court-ordered rehab.
Now planning to be this way, your mother and me.
We didn't plan for it to be this way, your mother and I. But things got so bad between us that I can't see myself getting back with her, like when we were teenagers. Eminem had, to say the least, a tumultuous relationship with his ex-wife, Kim Scott. They met in '87 when he was 15 and she was 13 years old. They dated on and off for a few years, and when Haley was born, they got back together. They decided to get married, but divorced 2 years later, after Eminem was fired from his job. In '99, with the beginning of Eminem's success, they started seeing each other again. And even though the relationship was still very troubled, as he says in this verse, they would end up getting married again 2 years after this song in 2006. But they separated for good after just 3 months of marriage. Okay, but what about the song's title? What does Mockingbird mean, and how does it relate to this whole story? So, the title appears in the last chorus, when Eminem paraphrases a children's song called Hush Little Baby.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word.
Little baby, don't you cry, everything's gonna be.
Eminem says he's willing to do anything to see his daughters happy. Sing, dance, buy a diamond, or even a mockingbird, which is a kind of North American bird that has the ability to imitate several other birds, animals, and environmental sounds. This is one of Eminem's calmest and softest songs. And in it, he keeps a sweet tone throughout the whole song to address his daughters. But right at the end, he abruptly switches to his Slim Shady style, dark and aggressive. He threatens the little bird if it doesn't sing, and the jeweler if the diamond doesn't shine. This contrast was intentionally placed at the end of the track, and it was just a way for Eminem to say, "So guys, I know it was a cute song and all, but know that I'm still Eminem, so don't mess with my daughters or things will be very different." And even though Eminem regretted exposing his daughters too much, they still have a good relationship with their father to this day. Lena earned a degree in arts from Oakland University, and today she is married and lives with her husband. A year after Mockingbird, Eminem adopted Whitney Scott, who was born in 2002 and is the daughter of Cam and her ex-boyfriend Eric Harder, who struggled with drug addiction and was unable to take care of the girl. And to Eminem's surprise, Haley's exposure ended up bringing good things into her adult life. When Haley finished high school, she wasn't really sure what she was going to do with her life. But as soon as she decided to create an Instagram account and start posting photos, she was bombarded with offers from modeling agencies and ended up accumulating more than 3 million followers. In 2022, Haley announced the launch of her podcast, Just a Little Shady, which already has more than 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Eminem has already more than proven how much he loves his daughters. And despite such a turbulent past, they grew up healthy and were able to see their father become one of the greatest rappers of all time. If you've watched the video up to this point, you must have really enjoyed our content. So besides leaving a like and subscribing to our channel, now you can also contribute directly to Decipher Hits by clicking the Thanks button. We'd also like to thank you for contributing with a super thanks on the last video. Thank you so much for staying with us, and see you next time.